Hello world, me again. Another beautiful day. Y'all thought I fell asleep at the wheel? No. You see this digital camera? This digital camera? Never connect these on the front of your desktop. Get an extension cord, USB extension cord, and connect these on the back of your desktop in one of those USB ports. Because sometimes when you connect these on the front of your desktop, you run the risk of damaging it, like I did. So I had to order a new one. Okay, got me a new camera. Anyway, you ain't seen me for about 2 days, but yeah, that's what happened. But anyway, let's do this. You know, we talking video games here. So Sony and Phil Spencer said Sony and Microsoft. Phil Spencer said Sony and Nintendo is not our competitors. Right? Then he also said sales ain't the end all be all to video games, right? So when he said Sony and Nintendo is not our competitors, it wasn't a diss at Sony and Nintendo. It was letting Sony and Nintendo know, like, stop taking the video game industry for granted. You know, work on your infrastructure. So when Phil Spencer said Sony and Nintendo is not our competitors, it means that they looked down the road and saw what was coming, right? So you had Google with the Stadia. They got internal infrastructure issues, but they do got the clout. Then you had Amazon trying to get the Luna off the ground, but they have foundational issues and infrastructure issues and internal issues, right? Then you have Sony, right? They got the PlayStation now, but they took backwards compatibility for granted, and it came back to haunt them. And then there's Nintendo, who should have stayed with the Wii U and refreshed it and because the Wii U had so many features on it, and continue using it, right? Now I see people on backwards compatibility right now is important in today's gaming industry. And backwards compatibility, number one, it beats hoarding all the consoles. Number two, backwards compatibility, keeps gaming alive, right? Versus remaking the same game twice. Okay? And backwards compatibility saves time. But anyway, so when Phil Spencer said Sony and Nintendo is not our competitors, they looked down the road and saw what was coming. But then Microsoft, on the other hand, they were working on their infrastructure. They were doing xCloud, Xbox Live, and then this Game Pass thing came into the picture. They add the backwards compatibility to it. Then they had the ZeniMax Bethesda deal. But then Microsoft, instead of them keeping Game Pass to themselves, they said, okay, we're going to bring the iOS users to Game Pass. And instead of us keeping Game Pass to ourselves, let's bring the iOS users to Game Pass through the cloud. And iOS, people that are Apple fans, iOS fans, can now play Game Pass. So you can play Game Pass either the Microsoft way, the Android way, or the iOS way. Pick one. or if you got a PC or whatever, you can play Game Pass. But now the video game industry now is getting competitive now. We got a new competitor on the market. You probably know of them. They got a nice user base. Zoom is getting into video games, people. Remember, Phil Spencer said Sony and Nintendo is not our competitors. So that means he looked down the road and saw what was coming, right? So now we got Zoom in video games. Listen to this. Says Zoom is adding video games to its video call service. Oh yeah, and they do have a nice user base, by the way. Zoom has that video conference and market locked because of that user base. Anyway, listen to this. Zoom now offers 9 different video game options for participants to play together and team build while in work meetings. So you're at work doing your 9-to-5 job and you're doing Zoom, but then at the same time you can work and play video games. Oh boy. Yeah, competition. Anyway, it says here, with recent moves to remote work, many workplaces have turned to online video call and meetings to keep workers in touch. Zoom, of all the options on the market, has become almost synonymous with this change, but meeting with coworkers have just gotten a new element as Zoom adds 9 games to their regular meeting service. Okay, Zoom Cloud Meeting was initially launched back in 2012 and operate as a proprietary video teleconferencing software program. The recent pandemic has forced companies such as Rockstar, PlayStation, and many others to turn to technologies and online meetings in order to function as they did beforehand. Similarly, video teleconferencing apps like Microsoft Teams have begun to offer similar team building option as well. That means Microsoft was on it. Anyway, there are 9 options currently listed in Zoom app marketplace. Team games, just say the word, LGN poker, Gaggle Party, Ask Away, Werewolf with friends, meetings, fun, dive, and heads up, with words guessing games, classic card games, and trivia. These options add new flavor to the traditional meeting held on the app. Each one offers a different style game option to play, and these allow Zoom meetings participants to jump into a non-work related activity with their co-workers. Each one should be playable and compatible with Zoom meeting, and the host needs only to schedule a team outing as a part of the meeting in order to add the activity. Oh boy. Says here, what this means for Zoom users varies widely on their work environment. In general, it gives employees an opportunity to have group meetings with an added layer of non-work related activities. Workplace often look for team building exercise and non-work related activities, and this is one such example that eliminates the need to meet in person. But for those workplaces that don't rely much on Zoom or online meeting, this new holds much less appeal. Says adding games to the service and having them be playable with meetings seems like a potential great benefit. Those who have become accustomed to the work from home lifestyle are likely already familiar with Zoom and online meetings, and so this transition could be seamless. With the pandemic still around, remote work and meetings are likely going to remain a reality for many, and this provides an interesting option. And it says here, these games won't appeal to all. However, though the option at least adds a new aspect of Zoom, not all remote work will enjoy the idea of games in meeting. Team building exercise can hit people the wrong way, and even interesting game options can't ease that anxiety. Either way though, these titles at least offer an option for meetings, and that have become dull or repetitive. You know, like what Drake said, started from the bottom, now we're here. Look, Zoom is creating a problem now in the gaming industry. And what this does is open the door for AAA games to be played on Zoom while you're doing your meeting or work or whatever. Phil Spencer was right when he said Sony and Nintendo is not our competitors, and it was never a diss at Sony and Nintendo. Phil Spencer looked down the road and saw what was coming. That's why they jumped on this Game Pass thing, so they can have a hold or a foundation in this game industry. Okay, so could you imagine if Microsoft didn't have Game Pass? What they would look like now? Game Pass is playing a huge role right now with Microsoft, and that ZeniMax Bethesda deal sealed the deal. So now that Microsoft has a hold and has a pillar in the game industry, competitors are coming from everywhere. So that message that Phil Spencer sent to Sony and Nintendo was a warning. But then you got Google, who has internal foundational issues that they need to work on, and then Amazon with the Luna, they have internal infrastructure foundation issues that they need to get sorted out. But both Google and Amazon, they both got clout to really get going. And here comes Zoom. Okay, Zoom is going to create a problem now, because now you can play big AAA games at work. This just opened the door to say, like, you're doing a conference call, but you're sitting there playing, say, Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, or you're playing Destiny, or you're playing Assassin's Creed, or you're playing whatever game you're playing. Okay, this just opened the door. Okay, this just opened the door, and Zoom has a nice foundation. Zoom has a nice foundation with that user base they got. They're only going to get bigger now. So now work is more fun now. Okay, especially in the corporate world. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the video game industry is getting interesting by the minute. Now you see, guys, why I was saying that Nintendo should have never left the Wii U, because they had a foundation, they had an infrastructure with it, they had a network, and they had so many features with it, and all they had to do was refresh the console and continue using it. Yep. But the Switch, nah, ain't cutting it. And then PlayStation, they left their backwards compatibility behind, but then they got PlayStation Now. But then PlayStation Now needs that entire catalog of PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 to support it. But then there's news of PlayStation trying to join Netflix. But Netflix is already on Xbox, and Netflix was on the Wii U. And I told people that, you know, like I was telling you guys, that Nintendo should. I mean, you can't get rid of none of the features on the Wii U because you need it. Now this video game industry now is getting really competitive. So if this opens the door with Zoom, if this opens the door with big AAA games, then you can add Netflix. You can add Netflix to Zoom now. Okay, so if you can do video conferencing, if you're doing video conferencing on Zoom, and if you're doing, you can play games now, and this opens the door for big AAA games, then here comes Netflix to Zoom. Like Phil Spencer said, Sony and Nintendo is not our competitors, and that was a warning to them to change their ways. It's getting competitive, people. But anyway, I'm gonna leave a link in the description box with this article so y'all can look at it. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek thing, or Dark Side. We're gone. Peace.